exciting.
So exciting.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. I have my tea. I'm drinking tea this morning.
Do you know, I meant to bring tea in honor of you, Meg, because I'm thinking about getting off that coffee too, but I couldn't do it.
Someone should have caffeine, man. Someone should. So I'm happy to watch you consume the caffeine.
So let's just wait a few more moments to see if people jump on to join this really special moment for us. I'm so happy to have you here, Meg. And
I'm so pleased to join you, lovelies.
Yes. And so as you guys jump on here and join our call, I see we have one viewer so far. Please let us know you're here. You could let us know your name. Well, I guess I can see your name, so you can just say hello and maybe where you're from if we don't know you yet, if you're new to our circle. But we are just so happy to be doing things like this, following our passions. And hello, Tori. Tori is here.
Hello.
So happy that you are joining us and supporting what we're putting out there because it's bringing us so much joy. And Tori is in Chicago, everybody. Michaela, do you know Tori?
Chicago.
All right, let's get going. It's 10:03 because we have a lot to cover. And if you don't, hey Amity, if you don't know Meg and Michaela and I personally, you're in for a treat because we really know how to talk. We know how to coffee talk, people. So
we've been doing it together for at least 10 years collectively.
Before it was like right for us to even be drinking coffee.
Exactly. And Will is here, Meg, your hubby.
Hey babe.
You're number one. You're number one. Hi, Will.
Hi.
All right. So let me just remind you, in case you are new to Emaya, we are certified yoga teachers. We're life coaches and friends. We're mothers on a mission to help women connect with their passion in life, their purpose, and their power. We offer online programming and live retreats and workshops to help women cultivate peace, presence, and purpose in their lives and reconnect their powerful her. We have a lot going on this month and it's so exciting, and Meg is really going to help kick it off. So let us know you're here. Let us know, if what we're putting out there you're picking up. I'm frozen. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
There we are. We're back. So that may happen. I don't know what's going on with the internet this morning. But let us know. Please feel free to engage and join the conversation because that is why we want to host these conversations, to just open up a circle of communication. Michaela, I'm going to pass the torch to you.
Okay, I'll take it. And we, like Connie said, if there's a topic that is weighing on your heart or something that you're really feeling stuck on or just really passionate about that you want to kind of have a group circle and conversation about, like, let us know, because a lot of the topics that we're choosing for these coffee talks are, issues that we're moving through or, things that our students are moving through. And it's been really, really exciting and powerful to open up the dialogue and kind of shine the light on a lot of these topics that I think a lot of people are scared to kind of get curious about. So why this topic today? This topic today is finding compassion through chronic illness. So why this topic? Well, several of our students in our Back to Her program and our Her Mistress Mind, which is our level 2 program, are moving through chronic illness, to be very honest and transparent. And Connie and I have just really witnessed the resilience and the determination and like just the fierce commitment, and yet this really beautiful vulnerability and self-compassion that these students of ours are moving through all of the challenges that are revealing themselves through their chronic illness. So if anybody has a chronic illness that can maybe, relate to this and give a thumbs up to all the women in our circle that are moving through this, heart it up and show some support. And we've just been honestly just really in awe of all that they move through and all that they have to endure on a daily basis, and watch them show up for what we call their her, and still find the time and the energy and the determination to, despite this chronic illness, commit to living, the lives that they dream of, and still kind of be able to show up for themselves despite all of this pain. And it's just been really beautiful to see. And through all of this, we've just been having so many transparent conversations with these students of ours. And Connie and I, frankly, like, we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot. We've learned like what chronic illness can look like and what it can't look like. So, there's a lot of chronic illness that I've learned out there that, they look fine, but they still are chronically ill. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there and they're not suffering, which was huge awakening for me. And then also, like, how can we better support those that are moving through chronic illness? How can we help them trust themselves more and trust their bodies more, on those days where it feels like their body's giving out? And certainly how to apply, the mind, body, spirit connection that Connie and I are so passionate about, as an additional tool to the chronic illness, right? To kind of uplift them. And through these conversations, like, I've personally learned a lot of, like, what you should do and, like, what you really shouldn't do. And I was really surprised to learn that a lot of the ways that I thought I was showing up loving and supportive, actually wasn't. And I, this whole time, I'm being such a supportive friend, and I've been I have to say, I've known Meg for a long time. Like, since we were babies. And so I have witnessed her journey that we'll get to in a little bit. And I really did learn a lot about, like, how to show up. And I thought it was really interesting. And I wanted to bring it to this circle, because it's a conversation that I think I needed to have. And I know that Connie wanted to have, and our circle wanted to have. So we're having it. So yeah, this conversation it's just going to be learning and looking at chronic illness through the lens of understanding and compassion, and really learning and having the intention to learn how we can better support others that are navigating through this. Or if you are yourself moving through chronic illness, how can you have maybe just a little bit more self-compassion, or maybe you're totally owning it and just, this is a conversation where you're not feeling alone. So that's our why. And it was really important to Connie and I that when we had this talk, that we were speaking with somebody who was experiencing this. And like I said, I've known Meg since we were schoolgirls in Alexandria, Virginia, and she has been, my chosen sister through this life. And here come the tears.
We literally played soccer together when we were 5.
Yeah,
in soccer uniforms. And can I just shout out that Michaela actually gave me an Iyanla Van Sant book when we were in, like, the 7th grade. So has literally been, like, expanding my horizons since we were, like, 12 years old. And so you have shown up in beautiful ways. You've done an amazing job. But I just want to give a shout out. She's been doing this her whole life, and this is literally what she's supposed to be doing.
Or better or worse, my friends.
Mostly for better. Let me just
for better. I agree with you.
Or Iyanla Van Sant had her own little dark moment.
A breakdown can be a breakthrough, okay? You're all learning that in different ways.
It's true. So yeah, I mean, yeah, like Meg, I have just been so honored to have witnessed and been a part of watching Meg, and honored is a complex word, because I feel so many things about what you've had to endure, Meg. But she has just shown such tremendous authenticity and vulnerability and strength and commitment to herself and to her truth and to her healing. And I am just so proud of her. And I knew I wanted her, and Connie knew that she wanted her to be the person that we have this conversation about. So for those of you that don't know my dear friend, Meg, we have been friends since childhood, and we were living in New York City at the same time. And Meg is a super talented home decor expert. She offers home coaching and design therapy to individuals and audiences through her YouTube channel, her DIY videos through HGTV. I always get tongue-tied on that, DIY network. And her proudest accomplishment is really the love and relationships within her own home with her amazing musician husband, Will, who's watching, and also a dear friend of mine, and their rescue dogs. And you can learn more about her at megallencole.com. So Meg, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with everybody. I'm really, really grateful to have you.
Thank you so much for having me and for all that you guys do. Like the work that you guys do has quite literally changed my life. And I'm not saying that because I'm your friend. I started out being like, I'm going to do this to support Michaela and Connie. And then I was like, oh, this can actually completely change our lives. So the honor is mutual and completely genuine. So I'm so happy to be here. And just side note to anyone here showing up with chronic illness, mental illness, anything that you got out of bed today, you already have a win. So that's something good to focus on. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah. Well, Meg, I know that, we introduced you, we kind of talked about like how long we've known each other. But one of the things that I really wanted, it was so helpful for me to have witnessed kind of your journey, because I really got a really transparent view of like what chronic illness looks like. And to be honest, I had never seen that before. And so one of the things I had asked if you'd be okay to do today on today's talk is just to share your story around chronic illness, to help like kind of educate those of us like me who may not know what that involves. And I know that yours is just your own experience. There's lots of other experiences out there, but wanted to have you share that if you're open.
Yes, I'd love to. And this is my first time, so bear with me. It's vulnerable stuff, but I think that there's probably some experiences in here that some people can relate to, or at the very least, it can shed some light on what a lot of us go through. So for me, individually, it started years ago. When I was around 18 or 19, I started to experience intense, extreme pain in my stomach, like blackout pain. The muscles in my stomach would contract and spasm, causing all the color in my face to go away. It scared a college friend so much that they took me to the emergency room. And my memory would like block out the pain. It honestly couldn't bear to remember it. I'm very blessed with parents who believe me, and they saw how much I was suffering. So they took me to get CAT scans, MRIs, the whole thing to see what was wrong. And all tests came back normal. So the cycle of like flare-ups of pain followed by tests that come back as normal happened many times through my 20s and my 30s. And the pain would always come back. And the doctors would always insinuate that it was anxiety or in my head. So to give some context of my life, I am an independent, strong, and capable woman who, until pretty recently, lived in New York City for 15 years, luckily overlapping with Michaela and Connie. I lived there for 15 years, working crazy long hours, insane schedule, super hard work. I finally got my dream job at HGTV. I trip over it too, Kale, still, all these years. HGTV, my dream job of making DIY videos for my favorite company. My dreamy rock star husband, hey babe, and I worked through some tough health issues for him. So we kind of felt like things, good times were earned and coming and on the horizon. And that is when things started to really spiral with my body. Okay, so picture this. You can even like close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths if it helps visualize. You're in bed, just starting to wake up. And before you open your eyes, your first sensation is intense nausea. Merely sitting up makes you think you might throw up. And as soon as you start moving your muscles, you feel pain. A low, dull, aching pain in your legs and intense burning in your side. You swivel your torso to get out of bed. And when you put just the tiniest bit of weight on your left foot, it shoots up your leg. Pain just grabs hold of your foot and your whole leg, stabbing it. You make your way in pain to the kitchen to make coffee because sleep eludes you and you need coffee. Brain fog follows you around, embarrassing you by tripping up your words, making you space out in the middle of sentences. The energy it takes to make and eat breakfast, shower, and get dressed somehow takes every ounce of energy you have. You haven't even stepped into the office yet. Luckily, you have a job you love, making things, creating things in your beautiful home surrounded by your rescue dogs. But by the time you reach your office, it's 1 p.m. somehow, the day is slipping away, and the nausea is now so intense that you're sure you're going to throw up, but you rarely even get that satisfaction. Your normal baseline is this nausea. It is all the time. It's unrelenting. Food has become a stressful enemy that you can't focus enough to plan or to make, nor could your nausea endure the taste, and your stomach rejects what you do eat by responding in pain. As the day ticks on, the pain rises in you like a siren screaming your name, beckoning you to the edge of sanity. There's a dizziness that follows your every move. Merely just turning your head makes your whole world spin. You've now gotten to a point where when you walk up the stairs, you hold your side in and you grunt and groan like a 90-year-old. I said 90, sounded like 9. You're only 36. For years, I explained my symptoms to any doctor that would listen. Nausea all the time, extreme fatigue, brain fog, cramps and pain all month long. And then leading up to this sharp pain in my foot, each week something else was breaking down. I woke up one day with holes in the outer film of my eye. I was sweating through the sheets almost every night. I lost all balance and I fell really hard in the shower one day. And I was throwing up on the sidewalks of the New York City street after just a short subway ride to the doctor. I literally could not function. I wanted to give up and I wanted to just go to sleep, to be honest, but I was losing so much and I really loved my life. So I fought and advocated for my care with my husband by my side, because I will tell you one thing, you need backup in the medical community. A lot of well-meaning physicians do not know about women's diseases, and there have been multiple studies showing that women's pain is ignored for years. There's a general distrust of women in our society and a lack of research for women's health. So this combination leads to an average wait time of 10 years for a diagnosis, but I had to endure in the unknowing for much longer. I finally got into the hands of a specialist who confirmed my gut instinct and told me I was at threshold for how much inflammation my body could take, which is why everything was shutting down. And I was diagnosed with endometriosis in January of 2017. So it's still pretty new. Endometriosis is when cells similar to the lining of your uterus grow outside of your uterus and turn into growths and lesions on your organs. The lesions contract and they cause crippling pain and they damage your organs. Endo can infiltrate your organs, your stomach lining, and eat away at your organs. Just ask my appendix, which is no longer here. Mine had grown so much that it moved my organs around and it created scar tissue around my intestines. So now those intestinal spasms were starting to make sense. I needed to have endometriosis excision surgery to remove it from my battered organs, and I was told that it would take months to rebuild them and balance my hormones out. The surgery is laparoscopic, which sounds pretty chill, but it is one that involves multiple organ systems. And when something's been growing in you for decades and decades, and then you remove it in one day, it's actually a hormonal event. So that adds a super fun postpartum depression into the mix and night sweats and everything that comes with that. So it's just really cute stuff. I was also diagnosed with vestibular migraine, which are migraines that present as nausea, vertigo, brain fog, and they're all triggered by hormones. Both are chronic illnesses that affect each other, and there is no cure for either. But when you finally know what you're working with, there are treatments and there are lovely ways to heal and nurture yourself when you finally have a diagnosis. It's been 1 year and 5 months since surgery, and I now feel like my endo is in a manageable place. I still threw up last week due to pain, but I celebrate the wins. I experience low pain on most days, but I only experience crippling pain a few days out of the month. To me, that's a win. I do still struggle with vertigo and dizziness regularly. I admit that that can sometimes really still make me feel helpless and hopeless, and I struggle with it, but I'm making progress, and I am absolutely creating a beautiful life no matter what it takes, and I'm getting there.
You sure are.
So that was just a little glimpse. Tried to paint a picture.
You did a great job.
I know it's a lot, but
I feel like I know that you've moved through this, but to hear you actually speak, and I know that endometriosis is probably so much more than what you just described, but I think you did a really great job at painting what you had to endure and what you have to endure. And as a witness to how hard you've been working the past 80 days or so on yourself, and you're just such an inspiration, and I'm really grateful that you're sharing your voice, because I think that you're right. Women need women like you, Meg, to stand up and shout it from the rooftops that we need to be heard and that our instincts are spot on.
Yeah.
thank you, Connie. It was brave women who shouted from their rooftops in pain that helped me hear and be able to take that information and just keep going and seek out a doctor who would finally listen. I think I saw 14 before I found one who really like knew what it was. So
Tori just said, brave, strong, you are so awesome, Meg.
thank you, Tori.
You really are. And I'm getting like emotional because, you know, I too have witnessed it, but just to hear it in that way, and to just see how you have shown up, even just for me, despite having all of that, it's just like, and I know that you show up that way for everybody in your life, you know what I mean? And you show up that way for your art and your dogs and your husband and your friends and your family. And it's just, you're a powerful, powerful, powerful woman, Meg. And
because that's who she is, Kayla,
yeah.
Right? That is Meg, is the essence of Meg. And I'm just so glad that that endometriosis isn't ruining who you are, because it certainly could.
And it did for a minute. I will not
Sure.
lie. I could not show up. And that's one thing that I had to learn. I have always been that person who you can call and lean on, and I will be there for you no matter what. And there was about a year and a half period where I could not be that person. I really could not. I mean, I tried to be for, but it was like a full-time job to survive and get through and try to just keep up with the job enough to just, not have everything fall apart. So I definitely have had some friends who I think just probably thought I wasn't as into them. And I'm just like, please just bear with me. So I just offer anyone out there listening who has chronic illness, mental illness. I mean, I just feel like mental illness also, can receive from this too, to a degree, but chronic illness is it ebbs and flows. It comes and goes. And there are times where even now, just recently, I had to cancel something really important because my body needed it. And so depending on where you are in your journey, there are times where you cannot show up for other people. And it's devastating as a woman because it's something that is put onto our identity, and it is a part of our identity. So sometimes just being forgiving with yourself, or asking and communicating clearly with your friends and just saying, I'm so sorry, I'm doing my best. And just being honest, about your limitations, I think is really important.
And you were very, very good about that, because I do remember that period and you even said that you were like, I need a little bit extra support. You were very transparent about where you were and how I could support you. And I really appreciated that, because it helped me show up better for you who give to so many people, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's definitely one thing I think we've learned through this, like as friends, is I mean, first of all, I think you showed up perfectly all along, like really beautifully. So, but asking really specifically for how people can show up is a very helpful way. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I just couldn't help but.
Well, let's segue into that, because we're at 10:26, which I think is fine, and I don't want to rush through anything, but let's move on to the tips so that we can leave people with ways that they can support people. Maybe we don't even always know people are moving through chronic illness or mental illness, and maybe this conversation is simply that we are compassionate for everyone's situation, even not knowing what it is. But if you do know people are moving through chronic illness, here are some tips to show up. Let's go tips for those with chronic illness. How can you have more compassion for yourself? Let's start with that and your illness. Michaela, do you want to take over there?
Yeah. And I do want to circle back though to Meg talking about specifically the meditation and the yoga and how that helps her. Yeah. So let's circle back. Let's bullet point that and make sure we get back to that. So I think that's important. So tips for those that have chronic illness, and how can you be more compassionate for yourself and your illness? And a lot of these I got from Meg. I'm not somebody who's moving through chronic illness, but these are some things that I learned really worked for Meg. So meet yourself where you are day by day. Maybe it's even minute by minute. I think this is a really big one. And Meg, feel free to add on to any of these. But I think, meeting yourself where you are and your body where you are. Even maybe some days it's minute by minute, maybe even breath by breath, just really honoring.
Sorry, honey, to interrupt you. Yeah. I mean, it's true in one day sometimes. People are like, how's your day? And especially back when things were really struggling, I mean, really each hour felt like a different experience. So sometimes you almost, if you're really in the thick of it, you have to be super compassionate with yourself and just be like, I just got to get through this hour. Just got to get through this hour. Or if you're in a real crux of having a real flare of pain, it's true. You're just taking it minute by minute and just using breathing techniques, whatever tools you have, which we'll dive into, to just meet yourself where you are.
Yeah, I love that. Another one is know that you know what your body needs. You have to trust yourself and give your body the rest and downtime it requires, or it can backfire. I think this is such a big one. And what's frustrating about your story is, like, you knew that there was something wrong so long ago, and you were trying to do this. The doctors just weren't listening.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that reframe of, like, you know what your body needs. Listen to it.
Totally. There are healthy habits that are now prescribed to me that I was doing all along. And there were certain things, even like alcohol is one of those things where everybody drinks. It's a part of every social engagement. And it was always one of those things that made me feel so ill. And it's really bad for both of the chronic illnesses that I have. And luckily I don't care that much about it. So it's fine. But it's amazing how your gut just gravitates towards what's good for you and knows what to avoid. Even when doctors and people are like, nope, that makes no sense. Know.
Yeah.
Trust me with it.
I love that. Make your bedroom a wellness sanctuary. Oh, I love this one. Make your bedroom a wellness sanctuary that's a rewarding retreat and recharging station for you, to nurture and rest your body there without an ounce of guilt. I love this. So if you're spending a lot of time in your bed, like leverage that. Make this a beautiful, nurturing, inviting, fun place to be.
Calling it a sick day feels really crummy. Be like, I have to have a sick day today. And I reframed that. I got my reframes from you ladies. And I'm like, I'm going to have a wellness day today. And I get to be in this beautiful space, and I get to kind of slow down. And in the chronic illness community, there's this phrase about spoons. You only have a certain amount of energy that you can spoon out. And once you run out, you can't magically recreate it. So you need to be able to take it, pace it, schedule in rest. Literally, I schedule in downtime rest so that I can then recharge and be there for my life.
I love that. All right, Meg, you're up with your tips.
I also suggest, I think I touched upon this, being really clear with friends and family, that your health may require flexibility and patience with plans. Your body may be unreliable, but you are not. I feel really guilty, and I'm always worried about letting people down. I don't want to let people down. This illness has taught me so much. I was a placater. I was like always trying to make everyone happy before. And this honestly gave me a reason to be like, girl, you got to create some behavior patterns that also recharge and are good for you. So it's okay to be clear and say, I'm going to do my best to make it there. We'll see how I'm feeling that day. Or, you just got to be clear about that. Mm-hmm. It's really important to have, if you're lucky, 3 is ideal. But even if you have one person, 1 to 2 people that you can just be totally honest really dark, depressed, just be really real about where you are. And you know, they'll never, ever, ever judge you. If anything, when I confide in Michaela and I think I'm being really weak and so sad and so down, she helps see that honestly, my gut is trying to protect me in some way and helps me reframe it and helps me see that I'm on the right path to where I need to go. Have one medical advocate who knows your history. I'm very, very fortunate to have an incredible husband who had an accordion folder alphabetized of my medical records. I did this for him when he went through some things, not as meticulous, but it's super important because merely getting to the doctor can take it all out of you. And you actually need someone to then be present to be able to hear and absorb what's happening in the doctor's office. I'd show up in vertigo. So I'm sweating and like shaking and I can't even hear what they're saying. So you need an advocate.
Yeah.
And I guess, lastly, just being about specific about how people can help. One great example is Tori, our first viewer, was I told her, I was like, mornings are really brutal for me. Will would have to sleep in because he was up all night with our old dog. And she literally called me every morning at like 7 a.m. for the 2 darkest, saddest months of my life. And she like kept me going. And I will never forget that girl. So ask for help. Don't hesitate. Be real. And you'll be surprised of who shows up for you.
Yeah.
And then the last one we want to share is take time to get quiet and ask yourself day to day, breath by breath, how am I today? And really listen for the answer. Getting to know yourself and your body will enhance your intuition and help you get to know it better. Power is in knowledge, and this can help to advocate for yourself, not only with healthcare practitioners, but with relationships in all forms. So I think that this last tip sort of like ties it all in together. And before we go back into how you can help people, I want to circle back around because I think this is I'm totally like mixing our outline up, ladies, but I think that taking time to listen and taking time for yourself to well, Meg, you can speak so clearly on this because of what I mean, obviously you were doing a lot of things and you're still doing a lot of things alongside Back to Her, but maybe you can just kind of paint a picture of what that meant for you, the past few months.
Yeah. So chronic illness, it means forever. So to be patient with yourself, and you're going to have to find several different techniques to be able to move forward, find healing. For me, it's been surgery, strict diet changes, moving cities, physical therapy, creating a schedule with rest and restorative time. But there have been a couple of things with body work that have been completely life-changing for me. My surgeon and a lot of left brain, very, very focused specialists encourage meditation for anyone living with chronic pain because it's been scientifically proven to calm the central nervous system, which helps us react less to pain. Not us react, but our nerves react less to pain. So it actually helps ease our physical pain. So doing the Back to Her program with Connie and Michaela, to be honest, when I started, I was like, I just want to support them. And about 3 days in, I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't ready for it, but it's what I needed. And so the yoga is also something that every doctor that I've seen who actually knows what they're talking about recommends yoga because there are specific muscles and nerves in your body that poses can really heal and nurture. So those are 2 aspects of the body work that have been really, really powerful. And in the Back to Her program, we went through the chakras each week and went through healing your chakra, which be open to this, man. It is scientifically proven to be where your energy is in your body. And I had a lot of trauma that I was holding in my body from a lot of this pain, a lot of the distrust, the infiltration from surgery. And so the chakra healing was, at first I was like, oh, I'm so excited about this witchy woo-woo awesome stuff. And then I realized, no, this scientifically helped heal me on a more cellular level. So I cannot express enough how that body work has aided in my medical healing and helping me. And I just talked to a friend this morning and she was like, you're back. Like, I see you again. And I missed me. I like me. I think she's great. So I'm glad She's back. You know?
You work so
Yeah.
hard. I mean, I just watched you show up and with such like determination and energy and effort. I mean, you really are committed to feeling your best. And honoring I noticed you're you're aware. You're very aware. So you know exactly where your body is at, even if it's not where you want it to be that day, you
Right.
really just drop into it. And you're like, you have so many tools in your tool belt that it's been really exciting to watch this whole journey and to see you today, how you're feeling.
Really
It
helped
really
me get
has.
there. I did a little bit of Back to Her last year when I could not physically do a lot of it. And the mindset that it helped me get in was to learn how to meet myself where I was and accept where I was. And that laid a foundation for then even this year's work. So there's just a lot that I have received from what you guys have done that has really helped me get here. So I cannot thank you enough.
And for those of you listening that don't know what we're talking about, Michaela and I have created this wonderful program. We're so proud of it. It's a 40-day program for women where you get yoga meditation delivered to you in your inbox every morning, and you get to move through transformational coaching sessions with Michaela that are just astounding and creative and passionate. And if you're someone like Meg, who's going to take the bull by the horns and participate at 110%, then you get, to hold a mirror up to all the women that are showing up in this circle, and you get to share and hold each other accountable. And we've created such a beautiful circle virtually that Michaela and I had hoped so much would land for people. And I think it's people like you, Meg. I mean, obviously everyone. I mean, it would be so great to have everyone in some way, shape, or form do these coffee talks, but to just watch everybody play full out, and what you put in is what you get out, and that's in life, isn't it? So to watch you put in effort to heal and to shine your light and not let this be who you are, but rather, you are who you are. And this is just the side, something you're kind of dealing with on the side. And girl, you're incredible.
It's a defining life event, but it doesn't have to define who I am. And
Thank
it's
you.
still in a good way, in the sense that it's made me better. It's made me, stronger, more compassionate. I see across a lot of chronic illness, especially females with chronic illness, they're like, I'm grateful this happened. It sucks, but I am a better woman. I am better to myself because of it. And to anyone with chronic illness, I have to say, it's really hard for me to leave the house to go to a yoga class. It's just not that realistic for me on a lot of days. So to have in my inbox, in an email, at a level that is accessible for me, I can be ugly, I can be bloated, I can be wherever I am that day, and be free in the privacy of my own home to participate in this program. It's just really accessible, and I'm grateful for that, because otherwise I would not have been able to do it until maybe a little bit later. So I'm grateful.
Good.
That's a good point. So let's share some tips for those whose family or friends might be suffering from chronic illness. And again, this is a big reason for having this, is like, how can we be more compassionate to those that are moving through chronic illness? And I think there's a lot of good ones here. So trust that they are the expert of their own experience. So Meg, you'll have to weigh in here a little bit, but I think it's when they say they're sick, especially if if it's something you can't physically see and it's lasting a long time. We've kind of talked about this, Meg, too, is that they're like, are you still sick? Like, this is really taking a long time.
Yeah.
Sure you're not just like,
Yes. People.
I don't want to. So.
No, there's a lot of, and I got a lot of, we're getting older, or, there's a lot of, people do not understand that chronic illness, it is forever. It doesn't mean that it's like this forever. It doesn't have to be like this. It's a little bit like this, but it is forever. So once you hear the word chronic, it is important to really just trust that whatever the person you care about is saying, it's true. people with chronic illness do not want to be chronically ill. And most people with chronic illness, I have yet to see a victim or a martyr in any chronic illness, under any chronic illness umbrella. Like it really kicks that out of you because, so just, yeah, trust is, I would say, if you take one thing away, trust the individual and their experience.
I think this ties into this one nicely. It's know that once somebody has a diagnosis and a treatment plan, your job is not to be their doctor. You're there to support them.
Yes, yes.
This is a big one because even I don't suffer from chronic illness, but if I'm going through like a hard time and everybody gives me like, you need to meditate more, you need to do this, it's like, I'm doing all these things. I just want someone to tell me it sucks and it's okay to be sad and to be sad with me. And I can only imagine that that's probably amplified when you're moving through chronic illness, that I think could possibly and probably is quite an isolating experience, right? So I love this one.
Of course, people just want to help. Before I was so sick, I was somebody who said that exact same thing. I totally did. It's because I meant well. I just would want you to feel better. So I'm sure there are many conversations where I was giving you all kinds of solutions. So I am so sorry in retrograde to all of my friends who I did that to, because I know I did. And this experience, like, it definitely taught me, you know what, I got to trust that wherever this person is, like, they're the expert of their experience and I just want to have their back. So yeah, it's a tough lesson. I learned it the hard way too, of doing it wrong first, you know?
Yeah. And let's talk about, some of these are below, but let's talk about what are some ways that we can support somebody more, like if it's not like advice, you know, or health treatments, you know, what are some things that we can say that is supportive and helpful?
Actively validating the experience of the person that you care about and just having compassion is wonderful. You gave great tips in the listening coffee talk a few weeks ago that I absolutely loved, of just being present, showing empathy, connecting with what they feel. You don't have to understand the disease. No one needs you to be a doctor. Just connect with the emotions, connect with what they're feeling, and connect with compassion. That's really all you have to do. You don't have to fix it or be House, you know, that doctor. You really just have to like have a heart, and that's it. So celebrating small victories is my jam. Like, truly, that's why I started off with being like, if you got out of bed today with a chronic illness, you're already ahead of the game. Like, it's tough. You have to celebrate every small victory. If I compare myself to where I was 5 years ago or 7 years ago, I will be disappointed every day. So I look at where I was a year ago. My goal was to be able to walk my dogs. That's what my goal was. And now I can stand and do Warrior 3 into tree pose, man. That's right. I fell in the shower a year ago, but I can do yoga poses with balance now. So we got to celebrate every victory, because it can be something as simple as I walked the dogs. That's right. I did it, you know?
Yeah.
I say, try to be careful about saying, how can I help? Because a lot of us, especially females, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, it's hard to ask for help. So being more specific and saying, I would love to come help. How does it sound, me bringing over dinner? What food would best support you? That is really, really such a lovely way to have someone's back. Or even asking about the caregiver. How can I support Will? What's really weighing on Will right now? What can I take off of his shoulders? Will's my husband, who really had my back. And looking out for the caregiver is very helpful too.
Yeah. I think also one other thing that we said, it was, it's not, are you feeling better, but how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
So
what are you experiencing right now? You know what I mean? Yeah, checking in with the experience, because it's tough. And I saw a bunch of articles about how when people say, how are you today? It's like, when you have chronic illness, you're like, where do I even, it's such a loaded question.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, exactly. But if someone really wants to know, they'll say something more of like, what are you experiencing? And then that's a little bit more of an invitation of being like, well, it spins inside my head. Like, you can give some more realistic stuff. So then maybe you understand your friend a little more. And if they seem a little spacey or out of it, you know, it's the vertigo. It's not, you know, them just giving up or what. You have more context to understand and connect.
Love it.
Let's say, how about this? Thinking before you speak, taking a few deep breaths. And really, like, this kind of goes back to what you were saying before, Meg, but really listening, like you said, all you need is a heart, really a heart, and like just to be able to sit and listen and really hear what your friend is going through, being open and grounded, not thinking ahead, just being in the moment. And I think one of the last things that we'll leave you with is being comfortable with the silence. Like, as you were describing, how a friend could just say, could I bring you a meal? Like, what if I come over and just have a cup of tea with you and sit with you, right? Like, being comfortable with the silence and just being together could be so nice, right? Where you're not really even trying hard and you can just be together.
Just sitting with someone in the darkness can really be a beautiful thing. Of course, you're probably going to say the exact same thing, Gilles.
I was, and we talk a lot about this in the program, because I think we just, as a society, it's really hard for us to be okay for it to not be okay, and to sit in the shittiness, and to sit in the pain, and to sit in the, I don't know what's going to happen, and this is scariness. But that is the human experience. And if we just try to jump in there and try to find a solution, it's dishonoring somebody's experience. And there's an opportunity and invitation in that darkness to be with somebody, and for connection, and for vulnerability, and for, the invitation that the darkness provides. There is beauty in the dark. I know that's, absolutely. I'm not saying there's beauty in chronic illness, but there's beauty in every darkness.
There absolutely is. There's beauty. There's beauty all throughout it. There's trauma and beauty. And so I do offer to get all the support that you can from friends, from family, from a beautiful program like this. I do ask you to join us. Please do. If you're, lucky enough to know women like these women, ask for specific help, and also look and get support for the emotional trauma that chronic illness can put on. It does cause physical trauma, but it also causes emotional trauma. And I highly recommend therapists, yoga, meditation, journaling, anything to be able to just support you in your health.
Yeah.
Thank you, Meg.
Love it.
So join us. And back to her, man. There's another one, and I want you there, guys.
There is, and Meg's coming along for that ride too. She is our trusted companion. And if you want to learn more about this program, you can go to backtoher.emayacircle.com/Meg. Connie will put the link here. Class starts October 8th. There's only 40 spots left. Any questions, you can reach out to us at hello@emayacircle.com. And yeah, it's a really beautiful program, and the new ways of becoming and remembering and connections to self that we're seeing. It's just so inspiring. Whatever season of life you're in, whether you have chronic illness or not, we have our arms open and invite you to join this really precious circle. If you want to get a little more taste of what this chakra part of our program is all about, we're doing a 7-day chakra guided meditation challenge, and that starts on Monday. And we're going to do a grand prize winner for those people that participate. And the grand prize is a free scholarship to the Back to Her program and a chakra crystal kit, or chakra crystal. I don't know how I'm saying that right, but it's some goodies. It's some goodies. So be sure to check all of that out in our social media stuff.
I hope you guys will join us, and I will certainly be there to offer any and all support for my endo warriors, chronic illness warriors, anyone and everyone. There's a lot of beautiful support there. I actually have never done this, but I went to Connie and Michaela, and I was like, how can I be a part? Like, how can I get this out there to more women? Like, how can I be a part of this? And I don't usually do that with anything, but I really just believe in this so much because it's really changed and really helped my healing tremendously. I mean, so many people, my mom, my friends are like, you're back, girl. Oh my gosh, I missed you. And I came back to her.
Well, you, and I know that this conversation is going to help a lot of people. And so I just want to thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story and your experience and joining us here today. We love you very much.
I love you both to pieces.
Thank you. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us, and fill up the comments. We want to know what feeling and how we can support you. And
yeah, if there's someone you know that's moving through chronic illness, mental illness, and you want to share this on their page, that would be awesome. That they can be a part of the conversation in that way, and this conversation gets to be the gift that keeps giving, really.
Yeah. And let us know if there's anything we missed. We could always do this again and keep the conversation going. So let us know. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, love you.
Happy weekend, everyone.
Happy new moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get it.
That's
Bye.
another coffee.
Another coffee talk.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.